So on today's news of That's Fucked Up, an oldie but a goodie. Not really a goodie. So they're gonna start doing COVID shit again. It's gonna happen again. Probably in like 6 months, I'm guessing. 'Cause this is what they did when I was sick. Because I got sick 6 months before COVID. And I was one of those people when I got in my coma and all that. They were like, oh, it's an unknown strain. It's coronavirus. And then I had me looking up what a coronavirus, and I went down the road. But 6 months later, we had the lockdowns, like to the day, basically, almost. So this is probably gonna be 6 months to the day from here. I'm saying like they started the lockdowns. They already knew about the thing 6 months prior, and they were talking about it before they even called it the Wuhan thing, the Wuhan virus and all that shit, or whatever the fuck they were calling it, pangolin or whatever it is, fucking shit. Been a while, but fucking yeah, bro, they're doing it again.
Thai public health authorities have increased preparedness measures as the Department of Medical Services directed hospitals under its supervision to prepare for potential Nipah virus patients.
The department.
My view is this: is it the virus is actually doing the damage, or is it the lowered immune systems because everybody got the jab? Because it's saying 70%, and 80% of all of us got it. And I don't know how it is in Indonesia and shit. What the fuck it is? India. What is it? Indonesia? It said southern. It was an Asian country. Fucking. That's a lot of people. Then they drop in. That means everybody's coming in contact with is dying. But like the doctors are clearly not dying, so it's some kind of exposure to something. Who knows what? Hospitals are lined with lead paint and stuff, so they're protected by EMF. My number one thing last time around was they turned on the 5G towers again. That's all they did. They turned them all on, and it made the air microwaved. It ionized the air, which made mold present, because mold loves living in like high frequency. So when it gets microwaved, it's like, feed me that, let me dance. So
was under its supervision to prepare for potential Nipah virus patients.
The Department of Medical Sciences says it is fully prepared to detect and monitor the Nipah virus. After
Nipah. I almost want to call it, say, Nepal. Nipah.
Reports of a new outbreak in India, while health authorities are stepping up screening measures at airports.
Well, could the next pandemic make the height of the COVID-19 outbreak look mild? That's what some experts are predicting for what's being called Disease X.
See? It's all satanic work. They put the conduces in the background. They call it X. X. Fucking X. Fucking. They're not even hiding it anymore. The whole, like, the game.
So I am very worried that we just don't.
Oh my god, you gotta have the what do they call it? The arbiters of truth, I'm gonna call them. The fucking modern day acolytes. Gotta have someone to vouch. Look at him, he looks disheveled. Fucking go back to fucking Israel.
No.
Look at him.
We, as a nation, we haven't made.
Oh, so I got people always following this. The rounder the glasses on a motherfucker, the more of a worthless opinion they're probably gonna have, or they're a little bootlicker or something. They're just gonna shill out. Always. My logic hasn't done me wrong on this one. If they have round glasses and they look like that, or the rounder they are, the more retarded they are. And what can fall into that too is big squares that are really rounded off, almost like circles. Octagons can fall into that too. They think they're being lively and stuff, but I feel like it's like a butterfly tattoo or dressing up in like cow patterns and stuff. Like it's just a sign of ball worship. You don't even realize you're possessed, or you know you're possessed. Like this fucker does.
That commitment to really fully protect the American people.
We caught up with internationally recognized.
To really fully protect the American people.
We caught up with internationally recognized.
Why didn't they just let him speaking? They have to talk over him and shit. Like you can barely hear him now talking. They had to do her voiceover. What was it?
Fully protect the American people.
We caught up with internationally recognized Dean of the National School of Tropical Medicine at Baylor and co-director of the Texas Children's Hospital Center for Vaccine Development, Dr. Peter Hotez, who's traveling to get his take on the topic.
We have a likelihood that new pandemic threats, that people call them disease.
I'm gonna follow this up with why this is all bullshit, and like it's the end of all virology and all this. I'll have to show you it. It'll go into yellow fever and how like a lot of this stuff is all this bullshit. They really don't know how viruses are transferred. They really don't. Like Well, I think they do, the ones above them, but like the normal people, they're told what they're told in school, and I cough on you, or phlegm, or air, bad air. Well, it always harpens back to bad air. It's always my asthma. But like the air is contaminated with my spit particles, even though it's filled with fart particles and spit all the time. You never get sick.
Sex are going to be
What usually causes ailment is lack of nutritional count. That's why people in the same house usually get sick together, because they eat the same thing, or they're exposed to the same thing in the same bad air.
rising on a regular basis.
And Dr. Hotez says,
like, you know how they get these photos? By like chemically bombing fucking whatever piece of flesh they're doing, and they're saying these aren't like basically almost a cancerous response, where like it's a mutation of the cells reacting with like formaldehyde and a bunch of other nonsense, and they're like, that's the virus, we isolated it, but we couldn't see it before, even though electron microscopes are so bombed these days that we can see fucking atoms. Still can't see these fuckers, right? That doesn't even work on the... That doesn't even make sense. Actually, say that aloud. They want you to believe that. That's what they want you to believe.
Disease X, the next pandemic, could hit hard whenever it arrives. Why do you think some experts are predicting the next pandemic will make...
WHO is paying them to do it, and Bill Gates Foundation. If I was getting paid by them too, I would have to say it too, because they're like contractually obligated to take the millions of dollars for your grant research.
COVID-19 looked like a walk in the park.
I've written about this as well. I wrote for the Houston Chronicle a couple of months back that COVID-19 is just the warm-up act.
You guys remember this little fucker? I remember him from COVID. I remember him coming out. He's probably been running around with his head cut off, or he's just been chilling on the beach of Tel Aviv or some shit.
The next pandemic may not be as severe, but it could be much worse.
Where'd Fauci go? I have a feeling he's sitting over there. Now he's hanging out in Ukraine or something.
The Department of Medical Sciences...
No, they're in Somaliland. They're all just chilling in Somaliland.
...said the National Institute of Health is ready to detect Nipah virus in suspect...
It's ready to detect Nipah virus? You remember when they did the PR test, guys, and like everybody was just testing positive? It's because the chemical they were using was checking for a protein, and the protein is usually produced by anyone who has like any kind of inflammatory response. So like if you got a little bit of phlegm, you're producing the proteins that would go off and say trigger it. Shit, you could inhale pollen and trigger them. They were actually proving that you could be like not even sick and trigger them, because it's just going off a protein that gets released by certain hormone responses that makes mucus and shit congest.
Affected patients using real-time RT-PCR tests, which offers high sensitivity and accuracy. The test can be performed on multiple sample types.
They had to make a specific test to check for this one now. Just like us sticking up, it's all fucking theater. It's security theater at the TSA. You have to do the stupid thing. It's the thing. It's the magic trick. They had to get you to do the stupid thing, like shoving a stick up your nose and tickling your brain and pulling it out, and then waiting for the magical thing to turn the magical chemical to turn the thing a certain color. Like the whole entire, I think it seems like a stupid thing you give to a retard to keep him busy. Like, and people did it. I never once stuck a thing up my nose. I knew there was something weird about that. You don't stick things up your nose like that. They tell you that all the time. They'll let you do it now. Usually they make you go to a doctor to go get that done, like an ENT to get your sinuses like cleaned out. Like these motherfuckers, they tell you to stick that up your beak and then pull it out. You're more likely to get yourself sick that way by putting foreign things that don't usually belong there back there.
Including blood, respiratory.
I forgot there's a gland back there that specifically will get you sick too when you play around with it.
Secretions, spinal fluid, and urine, with results available within 8 hours. No case Nipah virus has been...
How are you going to check for a respiratory thing and it's going to be in a urine test? That sounds like chemical poisoning. That sounds like exposure to something. Because if it's coming out in your urine, like you can't test for pneumonia if you're pissed. Like you could check for like maybe an antibody count, like a white cell count up or something. Like, but that's about it.
Been reported in Thailand so far. However, health officials are encouraging the public to take basic precautions, including avoid
bones are diseased or something.
Contact with animals that carry the virus, washing fruit thoroughly before eating, and
See, they're probably testing out some new like glyphosate over here, and they just get another, because they're telling you to wash your fruit and everything. You should be washing your shit when you bring it home anyway, but like, could they all be exposed to some kind of like chemical?
Washing hands after handling animals, raw meat, or animal carcasses.
If you're playing with animals at all, always wash your hands, and you should be deworming, especially if the large game, or not even small game. Like I have a cat right here, you should always deworm. Like you're playing with animals, you're gonna have exposure to things. Like this isn't what they're describing. Doesn't sound like that. I was just like rat lung, but like that actually that wouldn't show up in your pee.
Especially bats, pigs, horses, cats, goats, and sheep. Meanwhile, Chiang Mai International Airport has coordinated with international disease control officers to introduce proactive screening measures, similar to those used.
If you guys notice, they've set up military everywhere. They've got Facebook connected to WhatsApp. All the billionaires have their own islands now. Bill Gates owns all the farmland that'll go below water level when a flood happens. They're rolling this out now. The kill rate is now 75%. Don't play with that, buddy. That's my paperwork. The kill rate's 75%, they're telling us. They tell us the mortality rate was that high before, and there wasn't nearly as much people that died. There's actually more people dying from the jab than anything. They pulled all those. I don't know. Like, if I was to set up the world for the New World Order, and I needed enough people to buy into the stupid ploy, like the aliens are here, this would be the way to kill off the 80% you need dead in order to get them to follow the construction of that. Like, there are pieces being laid, and we can't stop them right now. They're too far either ahead or, like, not even ahead. They made the game. We're just jumping into the middle of it. It's been going on for like over 100 years. I don't really think there's like a way of coming back unless, like, I hate them saying solar flares happen, because have they ever happened? Is there proof of them? Besides the photos that the people that lie to us about space, is there actually any proof of solar flares ever happening and doing anything? No, there's not. I know this. And if there was, they would have been pointed at to 1 billion times over. Or we all would have already collectively known about it. I can get this fucking thing on the hook. Okay, put it on the other ring. Fucking stupid fucking necklace. But yeah, let's keep going.
During the outbreaks of COVID-19 and MERS. These include temperature screening for all incoming international passengers, distribution of health advisory cards, and stricter checks.
They already have their digital ID. Like, no one's buying into all that digital ID, electric cars and all that shit, but they're going to force it onto us through COVID injections and immigrants and shit. They're really trying to get the guns and the digital IDs in. Like, so they had the excuse to start using, because they already can see us without seeing us. Like, I've already made plenty of videos, but fuck, I'll do it right now while we're in here. Like, I open up my phone, the name of the app, they're all considered a BLE. They're low Bluetooth frequency, or you could use them as, there's a couple names for them. Spy detection things. It's to pick up MAC addresses and low Bluetooth, or you can pick up high ones too, but the one I'm talking about right now is called, you have to get it off market. It's on the App Store. It's called Smart Discoverer. There's BLE test too, but when you go on it, so I had this up, hold up. The people in my building come up. If you go to hospitals, the list is way longer, but this is just my apartment building. Like, you can see how close certain people are within my proximity. Like, if I'm closer to someone, they'll start coming up on the thing. It's pretty weird.
On travel history.
Hold up. Okay, back to that.
For passengers arriving from or transiting through outbreak areas within the past 14 to 21 days. Although there are currently no direct flights from India to Chiang Mai, authorities say they remain alert for transit passengers. Anyone showing symptoms such as high...
See how they're using B-roll right now? This is what they did to us the last time. I'm 100% sure they lie about, because we owe them debt, and they tell us they're our biggest enemy. Our biggest enemy wouldn't make us debt like that, because they would just want us to, like, basically file a bankruptcy on it. There's a word up before I can't get it up, man. This is what they did the last time, though. And then they even got us even more with the body bags they were trying to hide. Like, acting like they were trying to hide. They weren't hiding it. There was people talking about how they were just burning bodies in the street over there in China. So, like, a lot of the stuff they would present to us was to get us all feeling a certain way and feeling all riled up and all ready to fucking fight each other and fight someone. They even gave it a funny name, like they did the yellow fever. Or, what was it? There's the other one, Spanish flu. They do these things when they don't like the country they're involving with at the time. They do it as almost like a invisible weapon being thrown at you. Get it? Germ warfare, because it's really never... You would think if germ warfare really existed, they already would have used it already. Like, we have chemical warfare. They use that all the time. They tell you it's not legal. Yeah, well, war really isn't technically a legal thing. So, like, they use it. There's plenty of things. Why have they never used germs? They've used mold, fungus, bacterial, fucking anything we can. Never use a virus. Never. But they want us to think that China, using our scientists, so collaboration showing moreover, like we said, they're all working together. They're all friends. They're all holding hands. And they're all sitting there laughing at us as they convince dumbasses to stick things up their butt. I guarantee you, wasn't there a COVID test that went up your ass? I'm pretty sure, too. Like, they're just seeing whatever dumb thing you're willing to do to keep your life going.
A fever, headache, or respiratory problems.
So, just a common cold? So, when you tell someone, that's another thing, too. When you tell the masses this, like the last time, no one thought they had COVID. I mean, no one thought they had the cold or the flu or anything anymore. COVID was the new thing, and no one else could catch anything else. Everything, like I said, the proteins they're testing for come up whenever you have a fucking pollen allergy. This is upper. This isn't upper respiratory. This is respiratory. So, any breathing problem at all? So, mild congestion in your bronchial tubes or something? Like, just a chest clear here or there? You're gonna have, like you said, there gonna be a lot of, just like how it took almost 6 years to get to where we're at right now, where people are just starting. There are still people out there wearing gloves and masks in their car in Rhode Island. I see all the time. Masks isn't really that bad for those people, but Rhode Island's full of these crazy fucks, and sometimes they walk around. And I'm like, if you're so scared, why do you even come out in public, bubble boy? Like, go the fuck back inside, you old fucking. It's supposed to Karens, but it's like, because that's what I'm trying to get at. It's the brainwashing. The brainwashing has gotten so bad. At that time, remember, they were putting death scales up. They were fear-mongering people into thinking away. So hysteria starts to happen, and all symptoms you get now are exacerbated because instead of thinking like a placebo effect, it's the opposite of a placebo effect. You're going to will yourself into being sick. Or you think everybody's sick and dying, that's going to trigger your nervous system to make your immune system go down. And then when your immune system's down, nervous system's down, your immune system starts to fail. When your immune system starts to fail, you start to get sick. Because your body's not doing the right thing. Plus, they're keeping us inside the whole time. The whole time. Vitamin D deficiency. NHA, I think it's called. NAD. That's another one you can take. Shit, dude, there's so many fucking herbs out there and shit. I take thyme every day. Thyme's a great thing you can chew on. It'll make you not sick. And it opens up everything else. Oregano. Oregano's fucking bomb for you. Raw oregano. It's that cat one, not catnip. Makes it itchy. It'll come to me. That one's really good for that kind of shit too.
Will be transferred immediately to a designated hospital under public health response plans.
After years of pandemics popping up, including SARS and H1N1 early in the 2000s.
Ebola.
See, hey, they bring it up then. They didn't bring it up when we were going through COVID. Because me and my friends all brought up H1N1 or the swine flu. They tried bringing back before that too. And I tried doing it twice actually when I was a kid. Growing up, and no, I remember because the generation they killed off using COVID, or right before COVID, they died off too. Those were the people that were keeping us probably going still, because they would turn around like, I don't give a fuck, and if I was meant to die, I was meant to die. Like, I don't believe them, and I don't know what happened when that generation of people died. So like people about 7-8 years ago, so we'll go back 12 that are at least in 60 and up. Those people, a lot of them died off. Or at least the smart ones, like, because they were working class and shit at one point. But like, this is all orchestrated for this to happen. They wanted them to die, so because they changed voting blocks and all that shit. And when you get that out, there was no one to reinforce the ideas that no, everybody was bootlickers. And then since there wasn't a lot of older people, because it's really bad optics when you put old people in jail, or you hurt a bunch of old people for rebelling. But when you do it with people under the age of like 15 below, the optics have to go away, and you end up getting like terrorists, as you can label them and stuff, or domestic terrorists.
In 2014.
Why do you look like almost like that dude from fucking Avengers that plays the Hulk, Mark Ruffalo? He looks like him.
It's Zika in 2016, and now we've got.
Oh my God, the Zika! Did anyone even? That was on the blip for like 2 seconds. They showed the pictures of big-headed children being born, and then it bloop. Never hear about it again. It's a fear-mongering campaign. It's just like them sending rockets into space to keep the idea alive, so you don't think it's fake. It's retarded. It's retarded.
Dr. Hotez says that's why the U.S. Office of Pandemic Preparedness was created, but he believes more should be done.
Having the funds available to make countermeasures for new diagnostics, new vaccines, and at the same time...
That's all this is for. So the company that made billions, trillions of dollars, those companies from our insurance companies, can what? Get more money? They had plenty of money to make more shit, so why do they need all this bullshit? All of it's a scam to take your money, like NASA or fucking other stupid shit like that, like taxes.
Being able to
just to get on the topic, I bring it up a lot too. Cigarette taxes alone in every state basically can keep the states afloat most of the time. Like Massachusetts, for example, if you Google it, they tell you on a couple million. But I'm like, that's wrong. That's wrong. Like, there's over 1 million smokers in the state, and then they each smoke at least 1 pack a day. You're clearly going to get over 1 billion if that's the case. And then they have vape products involved too. It's like if you go through the index or DuckDuckGo, it's like 58 billion, which that makes more sense to me. It's a lot. It's high, but it's like it makes sense, more sense. And vapes are the same. If you do that, they make $3 off just each one of those packs, like 300 change. That's already enough. That's already half the GDP they tell us is for the state. Let alone would add the vape now in there, because it's different math, but the state still gets a nice big fucking cut out of it. So back on topic.
Support the virologists, the scientists who actually study these pathogens.
What?
Virology is the biggest fucking farce. These people, like one of my doctors is a virologist, and he tried to tell me I had nothing wrong with me. I was fucking 30 pounds overweight, lethargic as shit. I knew I had parasites and I had worms. Didn't take his advice. He tried getting me to get like fucking scans and shit. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm not gonna bombard my body with like microwaves. Did enough of that growing up when they fucked with me. So like, I went and got dewormers and took it, and shit came out of me. Ever since then, I've been losing my weight. Fucking in some of the best shape again. Got my energy back. I'm waking up early again. I'm doing things I'm supposed to be doing. Like, don't listen to the virologists. They're taught wrong. Like, they're probably nice people, but like they're taught wrong, and then they get an ego because they have all this debt, and then it's like, I have to be right if I'm not right, and then it's like, are you right or are you just suppressing symptoms? Like they're big. Like he was a big dillweed about giving me some ivermectin. I don't like to take things like that. I rather do it in a holistic way. But like, if I got something that's going on and I'm this, like, I gained 30 pounds within a month, bro. Between the like pharmacia they gave me and fucking yeah, whatever nasty shit I picked up from being around nasty people at a hospital. Like, the people I was surrounded with were all like drug addicts and shit. Like, so, like, I guarantee you I picked up something from these nasty fucks. So, whatever it was, I got rid of it. Constantly always having, like, chest, like, fucking fluid in my chest. Fucking coughing more often. Being fat fucks everything up, man. Like, especially if you gain that much weight that quick. But there's no reason you should gain that much weight. Even with medication, you shouldn't gain that much weight. There's something going on there. They didn't want to believe me. But that's what I'm saying. Virologists, they think they know everything. Oh, we'll do a test. Shit in this cup. They instead of just running a full, you know, diagnostic on all of them, like a full parasite like run. Oh, because they think, oh, you won't be exposed to certain things. I'm like, you don't know who I hang out with and what I do. Like, I could be around someone that was because of a foreign store I go to and I touch something they touched. Because like, they scratch their ass, they touch the counter, you touch the counter, the eggs go inside you. Like, because that's all it is, and you won't see them. Like,
why are we seeing so?
I eat meat all the time. I eat eggs. I eat a lot of protein. It's mostly what I eat besides fruit. Fruit can contain parasites. Eggs can everything we need. They're taking advantage of all of us. And if they're turning on the microwaves, or fungal is a big fucking thing. Like your liver and kidneys are protozoa. Not even just worms. There's fucking nematodes. There's a whole bunch of shit if you really get into this. Protozoas are pretty dickheads. Alcoholism. Look into that. Actually being caused by a certain type of protozoa that lives in your body and shit. It causes a whole bunch of bullshit in your brain. You can actually pick it up from alcohol. And I'm not talking about brewer's yeast syndrome, which is another fucked up thing that could happen to you just by being around yeast. Yeast can get up in your butt somehow because of, like, I don't know, you fart in the warehouse and just it's in the air, and you can eventually over time, because the yeast gets in your poop chute, or a lot of people, there's a bunch of weird ways they can get it, but yeah, you start making alcohol in your butthole, and then you're constantly blackout drunk all the time, and you really can't do anything about it, and the only way someone's going to tell you what's happening is by seeing a doctor, and they're like, you're blowing like an alcohol, or you're getting in trouble all the time. So it could lead to a lot of fucking problems, liver damage, skipping your liver and stuff, or kidneys failure, and a whole bunch of stuff. But it's all caused by, like, fungus, mold, what do you want to call it, yeast, growing in your butthole. Yeast, I know it's different, but it works the
So
same
many
way.
pandemics.
It's one of the most common questions I'm asked. It's a confluence of 21st century forms.
Why did he use the word confluence? The people that watch the news, sometimes I think they do that so they can make the people feel smarter, so like they heard the word for the first time, now they'll be like, the confluence of the situation.
So a big one is climate change, which is altering the
Oh my God, that's what they're doing with the weather. That's why they're manipulating the weather on us. That's why they're doing what they're doing. They're doing what they're doing with the weather for a fucking reason. That's a whole part of the plan. Oh, it's because the climate change is happening. It's winter. You guys are spraying more shit in the sky. You can drop the first experiment for weather control was them just dropping blocks of ice into the fucking sky during a storm, and it made the storm 1,000 times worse. It was dry ice, I think it was, they threw in.
Migration of animals that can transmit these viral pathogens.
See, that's what he did. He immediately turned to jargon. That's why he started using confluence, migration of animals, and transmission of these pathogens. Why didn't he said virus the whole fucking time. Like, so what is it? Oh, it's what's called X, disease X. It's the pathogens. Pathogens mean multiple things at once. So
no one knows when disease X,
I know
the next
that's the exact definition, but like, you know what I mean? What they're saying in the context of that.
pandemic will hit, but scientists say it is coming.
Bill Gates said it. I made it as a joke. Half a decade. It's been almost half a decade, a little bit more. Hey, they probably are going to do it by the end of this year, because it is 6 years from it. And they love sixes, man. 6s, 8s, 18, 15, 12, 21, 72. Those are usually all their lucky numbers. Fucking yids.
Especially the disease X, it's attracting a lot of attention. And I hope you have seen it.
I'm pretty sure that's the dude from India. Or something like that. Or Malaysia, one of those two. It's Asia. Over there is in Asia. WEF people and them talking. I should go watch the new meeting they just had. This is ridiculous. Like, that we even allow this to happen. They don't even got, like, security at these fucking events. They have full on their own police system from, like, the UN that shows up. They're like MPs are wearing all black crazy gear.
In the social media.
Because they're afraid of us.
But it's not a new idea.
Like, all we got to do, black people are now waking up. I said it years ago. I was hoping it would ever happen. It's happened. Black people are waking up to the whole penguin problem we have. Like, teaming up. Got to get all the other, everybody's got, it's unity we need, not division. They've been systematically dividing us through stupid concepts that don't mean nothing in the grand scheme of things. This is what they want. This is what they do. And then they figure out a boogeyman to keep putting us behind. And then so when they had their little hive mind people start to link up and unite behind that cause, remember how they had the people yelling at us, shaming us, all for fucking just not taking a shot, wearing a mask, all that shit. Because they brainwashed them. And we can convince them people, which a lot of people have woken up since then, but like, if we can convince them to understand and actually learn instead of like watching movies and believing the brainwash, that's one of the main things we need to work with people. People need to pick up books, go outside and touch grass and shit, and like get some sunlight. Being in front of the computer and shit, like not even like being in front of television, like eating goy slop all the time, like fucks you up. Like eating fast food and watching just basic television and shit will make you dumber. dumber. Like, I don't like reviewing shit like that anymore because it makes me feel fucking stupid after watching it. Don't get me wrong, I like riffing on it. But it, like, it's pretty bad when I'd rather hear, like, RFK do a long-winded speech than watch that. And even then, that's probably, it falls into that somehow or another. Best bet is just to learn all the time. And as long as you keep your brain going, you won't fall susceptible to, like, the weird cues that you miss all the time because you're all lethargic and, like, you're too busy living in whatever made up delusion that's going on. I love when people say, "Oh, it doesn't worry about my life," or "I'll be dead in time." I'm like, that's not how you should react to what you're hearing, what you should be reacting to. I have to go down. I keep talking about the petition. I'm going to do it next month. I'm going to literally start doing everything I've been saying with a lot of stuff besides, like, all I've been doing. I'm stretching myself a little thin. But, like, I'm going to get, like, those petitions and everything made up. Because little things, man. Like, we can make change. You can do things. Everybody can do something. Like, everybody's capable. Like, half the world can hate one guy with a mustache over views because someone told them something. One person can change the world, man. One person can fucking change the world. Like, it's happened so many times. One person almost has, and they just swart them. Like, why don't? Well, no, we've won a couple times too. Let them eat cake and all that shit. Like, there comes a time. The hardest part is the aftermath. Is coming together and actually agreeing on things. This is what they've been trying to do, and they perfected over the last, like, epoch. Since, like, the 1500s or whatever fake history they give us now. I'm going to say 1840. But, like, they've managed to divide us so badly that even afterwards, are we going to agree on things? Like, we need to get ourselves on the same page before we start moving forward again. But we can't because, dude, they managed to turn liberals into gun activists now. Like, it's hilarious. Like, I think they're just seeing how far they can push it. Like... They can get us almost to do anything as long as, like I said, you change like Yuri B said, but it's in, like, the CIA documents and stuff, in the Communist manifestos and shit. You gotta, like, change 10% of the demographic of anything, and you can control it within, like, a couple of decades, because that 10% will do all the work for you as long as you keep the idea thriving and going. So what you do is you pay off useful idiots like rich people, celebrities, idols, all those shit, musicians. Sports players to keep the susceptible bread eater who's going to the circus partaking in the festivities, because if not, the moment that curtain closes, it's hard to get it back up sometimes, or it never goes back up. Like, a lot of us find out, like, once you know what's going on, I don't know, you're not cynical. Well, you can be. Some people become cynical. Like, I like to think of myself as like a brutal optimist or a neutral realist. Like, because I still see the positive in things. Don't get me wrong, if something's too far gone, my things usually wipe it off the planet because you can't fix it. Especially if it's bad, get it out. If you can't, sometimes you might have to throw the baby out with the bathwater if it's fucking made of acid and it's eating through all the whole house.
The first time we used the terminology was in 2018.
Yeah. See, hey, so like I said, so 19 is when I got sick in 2019. The virus had already been around, but no one was really getting sick. More and more people kept going up. They said it got to China. They haven't really reported on it. There was these the gay scientist dudes. You've probably seen them on Facebook. They make videos on everything. They had a thing on coronaviruses. I don't know if it's taken down or delisted or something. I originally watched that one. I have it probably saved in my PC somewhere, or one of my drives. And it goes over too, like, I don't believe in coronaviruses, but like the way they break it down to how I first learned about it, although before I got to everywhere I'm at, is they're everywhere. It's a common cold. That's all that is. Like a simple flu. There's now there's probably like an extra 20 of them because of all the shit that's come out. But like there was only like 256 of those that were supposedly founded. But like I don't believe how they found it, because like I said, if you go after this video, I'm gonna put it up on how they actually get virology, like how it works.
The discussions were in 2017. I was just new Director General. As you know, we annually list the emerging diseases. And
See how they say which has no cure? That is a fear-mongering statement. Everything can be reversed. As long as you're not too old or too far sick, everything is reversible. You shouldn't have to worry about being sick if you're just healthy. That was my big problem. I was drinking all the time. I was living a bad life with people that were making me feel like I was on edge all the time. Like, that's going to do something to your immune system. When you have no hope, no life, nothing, no religion, no nothing in your life, you die. You slowly kill yourself. You're slowly already dying. You're already pushing yourself towards the hole.
MERS could be one, Zika, Ebola, those we know.
Notice how they always fearmonger us with all those things? Has anyone really seen that happen in front of them? I know I've read about Ebola and all this stuff, and they tell us it happens, but I'm like, it always seems to stay within like the meridian lines of things. And I'm like, oh, the tropical thing. Because a lot of viruses don't do good in cold weather. They don't. They're a version of viruses by their rules. They don't survive good in the winter, but yet everybody gets sick in the winter.
But then we said there are things that are unknown that may happen. And anything happening is a matter of
predictive programming. I say it may happen, it will happen, because I am what I think. I am a god because I am the dude who's he just saying this all day. Like the way he's like, I know because I am the arbiter of truth.
when, not if.
Mumbai.
So we need to have a placeholder for that, for the disease we don't know that may come. And that
is not cool. And they keep saying it like, because they want you to believe in like evolution and all this stupid shit. The only time you probably would get a new flavor of something would say like, because this is what they've already been known. That's why they're spraying on that fog again. And I guarantee you, if we went back on 2019 18, we would find a big fog layer. They're putting fog or something. But the fog's already been tested for like fungus or some shit. I think it's a fungus or some kind of mold. And like I already mentioned before in this video, that microwaves make those happen. And they turned on 5G during COVID, and that's why I think a lot of people are getting sick. They're going to turn on 6G with it probably around the time this turns on, when they start really gearing this up so more people get sick. And they're just getting the infrastructure for those towers all set up to make their fake ether. But like the combination of the mold in the air from the fucking weird distillates and what they call it, aerosols from the plane doing that shit, cloud seeding, making the fog. And then they roll out the fucking 5G, 6G on, and then people are inhaling it, and people are getting sick right now. There are tons of cases of people getting sick through the fog. Are they trying to, like, do it? Hold up. Okay, is this recording? Okay. So, it took me a minute. Okay, I couldn't find shit. Everything got censored because probably this is all gearing up for this. I'll just show you what I got. They try to say it does nothing. It's effective to kill them. If I put something in a microwave for more than 60 minutes, yes, but they're not doing it like that. They're doing it high impulse, short thing. So yeah, if you were to put it in a microwave for 60 minutes or more, yeah, you probably could kill it. Kill most things. Because you're just starving it of air and water. But like, these are the experiments they're trying to show. This looked fake. This wouldn't gradually go to that right away at the 30 minutes. It would, I mean, see how close these are, and then all of a sudden what happened within 15 minutes. That wouldn't happen like that. There would be cell death. There'd be burning. You see what happens when you put them in the microwave? The kind of cell death you get from that would be black and necrosis looking shit, like actual burning. Then I was like, just trying different things. It's just, the searches are all censored. They keep fungus. Usually when you type in fungus plus microwave, it'll tell you. But as you keep going, I ended up stumbling across, where was the article? Which one did I click on? I can't remember. Hold up. I don't know which one it was, but the link's right here if anyone wants to try to steal it off that. But in here, it goes over all the things. Like, for example, they use milk. You don't put milk in there, and it would cause the rate of E. coli bacteria to spread 18 times faster than compared to non-microwave milk. Like, it supercharges them. Maybe the threshold is within 30 minutes or less. But, like, they get bombarded with anything. Black mold also gets brought up in one of these things. Where's the paper I had? This one, the one I was looking for, this is the paperwork. This wasn't behind a paywall. I was like, I want to see it. Okay, let's look at it. Paywall. So I might sign up for this later. I'm gonna bookmark it. But then I was reading this one. This one goes into it. They all say the same thing. This right here is a paper. Links right here. In here, they also go over about how 30 minutes and under, it makes them all grow. It talks about black mold. That's what this one is. Aspergillus niger. One's penicillin, and one's the type of yeast. Or I had that backwards. But they all 20 minutes. This is what they put it. 20 minutes is they went down, but then they also say it went up, and like some of them did better in the first time. But the longer the exposure, the more everything dies. But I'm like, if you stuck anything in a microwave, fucking people pop. People would pop if you put them in a microwave. All the blood in their system would boil and shit, and they pop. The same things happen in these things. Of course it would happen, but like low exposure rates. Definitely look into this article right here. This one. This one was nonsense. It's like, 10 bacterias. It doesn't even name 10 bacterias. It just gives you like this. What are these aren't even... Okay, but I'm gonna be right back with the thing about the fever and all that. Is it recording? Okay. Fucking just talked for like 20 minutes and it fucking, it's not recording. It stopped 1 minute into after you're done. I'd never hit the button. Okay, well, I got the second part up here. Like I was telling y'all about fucking the actual like virology and how it actually works and shit. Fast forward into this first part so you actually watch it.
Theoretical virus particles to germs nor theoretical virus particles that are the cause of such phenomenon. The first very simple way to prove germ contagion theory is to expose hundreds of healthy people in every way possible to the breath and body fluids of sick people and see if those healthy people get sick from the exposure.
There's a book that is specifically he's quoting from. I had it. I gave it away with like my hermetics and shit. A couple of books I had. I gave them to a few people. I wanted people to learn things. And never gave it back. But this book goes over everything he's going to go over. It's just... all they did is cough and spit into each other and hug each other and stuff. But like no one got sick.
Which was done during the 1918 alleged Spanish flu pandemic by Dr. Milton J. Rosenau, along with the U.S. Navy and U.S. Public Health Service. The volunteers were all of the most susceptible age, mostly between 18 and 25 years old, only a few of them around 30 years old, and all were in good physical condition. None of these volunteers, 100 in all, had influenza. They proceeded rather cautiously at first, by administering what they claimed was a pure culture of bacillus of influenza, meaning bacteria found in the boogers and lung fluid of people with Spanish flu symptoms, called Pfeiffer's bacillus, in a rather moderate or small amount, sprayed into the nostrils of a few of the healthy volunteers. But all of those trials proved negative, meaning none of those volunteers who got bacteria from people sick with the Spanish flu sprayed up into their nostrils got sick with the flu themselves. So they became bolder and selected 19 of their 100 volunteers and gave each one of them a very large quantity of a mixture of 13 different strains of the Pfeiffer bacillus.
I will say this though, experiment-wise, well, that's how sure they were they wasn't going to do it. But, like, here, drink this glass of, like, contaminated drink.
They had recently obtained from the lungs at necropsy, meaning lung fluid from a dead corpse who died of pneumonia.
Isn't the theory, supposedly, so when they tested it, it goes against it, because remember they said it can't live. The viruses cannot live at all. They die when the host dies, and they can only live because they're non-living until they attach to something. Which, that's a whole bunch of fucking nonsense to get into, too. It's living and not living.
These 13 corpse-retrieved organisms were sprayed in an atomizer into the nose and the eyes of the healthy volunteers and back into their throats while the healthy volunteers were breathing in. They used some billions of these bacterial organisms according to their own estimated counts, but none of the healthy volunteers got sick. Next, they collected the snot and mucus secretions from the mouth, nose, throat, and lung bronchi from the sick people and transferred this mixture into their healthy volunteers.
You know what they were spraying at the time? DDT.
The snot was blown from the sick nostrils into a tray. Bronchial mucus was obtained by coughing up the lung phlegm. Then swabs were taken from the mucus surface of the nostrils and also the mucous membrane of the throat. They mixed all that up together and sprayed it into each nostril and into the throat of the healthy volunteer while they inhaled and sprayed it on their eyes. None of these people got sick. Some of that same mixture was then filtered and injected into other volunteers, but produced no results. None of them got sick. Next, they took new snot and phlegm samples from new sick people. This time, they sprayed a much larger amount into their nostrils, throat, and eyes. And then they made the healthy volunteers swallow the rest of the sick mucus, but none of them got sick.
You know, Next, got sick and had that weird taste in your mouth. They probably just.
They tried immediate direct transfer from sick person to healthy person, taking little cotton swabs on the end of sticks and transferred the sick mucus directly from nose to nose and throat.
They shoved it in the back of the
throat to the 19 healthy volunteers. And they used a special throat tube for the throat culture to make sure they got not only the material from the tonsils, but also from the posterior nasopharynx.
That's that thing I was telling you about. Yeah, that's the thing they make you touch. Like I said, when you touch it, that you can get yourself so sick. Because if there's like bits of like debris on it alone, like dander and stuff, that's going to trigger your sinuses and you're just going to be filled with mucus.
In the back of the throat. None of the healthy volunteers who received the material directly transferred from sick cases got sick themselves in any way. And this procedure was done to all 19 volunteers at least twice, and some of them 3 times, but none of them got sick. So next, they tried an experiment using injections of blood. Blood from the sick people were injected into each of 10 new healthy volunteers, but none of them got sick in any way. So, they collected a lot of mucus material from the upper respiratory tract of sick people, ran that through a filter, and injected that phlegm into 10 new...
This whole documentary is like over an hour long. If anyone wants it, just message me. I'll somehow figure a way to zip it to you or something, or send it through email or something. But this keeps on. There's more to it.
Volunteers with a needle, and none of them got sick in any way. Puzzled and frustrated, next they led a healthy volunteer to the bedside of a sick patient. He sat down alongside the bed of the patient. They shook hands, got as close as he conveniently could, and they talked for 5 minutes. At the end of the 5 minutes, the sick person breathed out as hard as he could, while the volunteer's face was muzzle to muzzle.
So it's take away all of them.
2 inches.
All the doctors don't get sick and the nurses get sick. That's what started this who thing too. The doctor who was doing the study would be like, why ain't anyone else getting sick that's coming in contact with them? But like if you look into what was going on, they were spraying chemicals and shit.
Apart from the sick breath, and was instructed to breathe in as the other breathed out in his mouth. They repeated this 5 times in a row, and after that, the sick patient coughed directly into the face of the healthy volunteer 5 different times. Then after all of that, they moved the healthy volunteer to the next sick patient selected and repeated that entire procedure until each of the 10 healthy volunteers had done this with 10 sick people in a row. Then they were all watched carefully for 7 days, and you guessed it, none of them got sick. Not one. They tried another set of experiments with 50 people that also failed, that he said was too long to go into, and they tried another one with 6 people that failed, and then they gave up. Not only did they not prove the Spanish flu was contagious, but they clearly disproved it.
You notice how they're telling them to mask up then, too? Let's just go back real quick. 10 seconds.
6 people that failed, and then they gave up. Not only...
They've been telling us to do this the whole time.
Did they not...
These photo looks fucking... I hate when they do things like that.
Prove the Spanish flu was contagious, but they clearly disproved it. And Dr. Rosenau wasn't even the first to fail, because at the end of his paper, he cites that he already knew that Dr. McCoy and Dr.
I think if you could tell by his study, he definitely didn't believe him because he was having them drink it at first. He's like, here you go, fucking chug it, bro.
Ritchie did a similar set of experiments on Goat Island Quarantine Station off San Francisco and used volunteers who had not been exposed to the Spanish flu outbreak at all, and they too had negative results. They were unable to reproduce the disease. Sure enough, we see it in the public health reports published January 10th, 1919, called Some Interesting Though Unsuccessful Attempts to Transmit Spanish Influenza Experimentally. The San Francisco Angel or Goat Island Quarantine Station Experiments, carried out by Dr. G.W. McCoy of the United States Public Health Service and Lieutenant Dwayne Ritchie of the United States Navy. A group of 10 men were divided into 2 squads of 5. One group had put up their nostrils a heavy suspension of liquid cultures made of 8 strains of Pfeiffer's bacillus.
Oh, okay. So it does actually track with all this because they're probably testing it beforehand. But it was invented, they said, in 1874. So, yeah, they're probably getting straight with DDT.
Bacteria without filtration. The other group had the same mixture but put through a Berkefield candle purifier. The results were negative. Nobody got sick after being observed for 7 days. Next, 40 volunteers.
That makes sense on why they tell us it takes 2 weeks now to get sick, because it's 7 days longer than this. So they're like, oh, it just needs more incubation time. Is what they
were put in 4 groups of 10 each, and liquid secretions of flesh.
Then again, the same people say it takes 24 to 72 hours for the meal you just ate to go through your body. It should take like less than 18 hours. Less than that. That's very slow too. 7-8 hours, your body should process everything through. You should be shitting things out with it, but before the end of the day. If you like, they want you sick and perpetually. They tell you sodium's not good for you. You need that to process your food because you can't make hydrochloric acid to break down the food. You need fats in your diet to make what's it called? Oh my god! They always say it ends up in your heart too. Oh my god!
And mucus from the upper respiratory passages of people sick with influenza within the last 1 or 2 days of onset were put up their noses with both medicine droppers and sprayed up their nose with atomizers. In every case, the results were negative. So far as the reproduction of influenza is concerned, nobody got sick. Next, they made a filtered liquid from the phlegm and mucus taken from the upper air passages of a person sick with acute influenza and used a dropper to put it in the mucous membrane of the eyes of 2 volunteers. And then the same phlegm and mucus was injected into the skin of a 3rd volunteer. In each case, the results were negative. None of them got sick. So finally, just like Dr. Rosenau, they took blood from a person sick with influenza and injected it into one healthy volunteer with negative results. He did not get sick. How could the Spanish flu have been some highly contagious disease if teams of medical doctors and volunteers bending over backwards and doing cartwheels couldn't even make just one person sick after hundreds of volunteers and attempts? Short answer,
cholesterol.
It couldn't. Around this same time, in October 1919, in the Journal of Medicine, we read a letter to the editor from a New York doctor, Alfred F. Hess, titled, "Need of Further Research on the Transmissibility of Measles and Varicella, which is chickenpox." Dr. Hess wrote to the editor, "I have just read the abstract in the journal of Dr. Sellard's article on the insusceptibility of man to inoculation with blood from measles patients carried out at Johns Hopkins, September 1919. It is remarkable that Dr. Sellards was unable to produce this highly infectious disease by means of the blood or the nasal secretion of infected individuals into healthy volunteers. Not long ago, however, I had a similar experience with varicella, meaning chickenpox. Thus, we are confronted with two diseases, the two most infectious diseases of the endemic diseases in this part of the world, which we are unable to transmit artificially from man to man. It is remarkable that in the middle..."
You just said chickenpox aren't... I forgot even he says that. You just said chickenpox. So those chickenpox parties they used to do when we were kids were kind of pointless. But then why did we all get sick?
Of the Spanish flu pandemic, he doesn't mention the Spanish flu as one of the two most infectious endemic diseases in that part of the world at that time. But more remarkable that here again, we have two more doctors who failed to produce contagious transmission with two other alleged contagious germ diseases. As we fast forward from the 1918...
Oh shit, actually, hey, chickenpox. Are the shots, is it immune, are they giving people, because it says cowpox, were they giving people the injections and they're causing the herpes? Because I've read a lot about vaccines causing herpes. And they never specify what kind of herpes. They just want you to think herpes. But chickenpox and cowpox and all that shit are types of herpes. So, were they just giving us all chickenpox? Because you never see anyone get chickenpox anymore. Did they just take something out of the thing that was causing it? But I never hear about anyone having kids that even get it anymore. And I thought that was weird. Because like, it's a part of growing up and showing you that you have a healthy immune system. It's fighting whatever it has. Because I know if you don't get it as a kid, most of us all end up getting it at some point. And it happens when you're an adult. You get shingles. And well, you always have shingles when you have chickenpox. But like, it seems like dormant and shit. Until... my brain's actually going insane right now. That's a weird thing to think about.
Spanish flu pandemic to the polio contagion experiments carried out in 1949 and the early 1950s, we run into the exact same problem.
See?
On page 105 of her 1957 book, The Poison Needle, Dr. Eleanor McBean tells us, during one of our most widespread polio epidemics in 1949, contraction of polio or catching polio by definite contact with other victims of the polio disease was not established in an elaborate study made by the New York State Health Department. The United States Public Health Service in its studies also found the same negative answer during succeeding outbreaks of polio later. In short, they learned that the disease was not contagious. Time magazine commented on this unexpected revelation of these surveys by remarking that when and where
only invented to kill the Gentile, because they don't take them.
People catch polio remains a mystery. The supposition, meaning an assumption based on zero fact or evidence, that viruses entered through the mouth and nose led to the experimenters to make exhaustive tests on both animals and human beings, mostly prisoners and orphans in institution.
What a noble people. Fuck off, I feel bad. You know when they say orphans, they probably were parentless kids, but like a lot of the time when they say orphans and these things too, they're like the tard kids they leave at the sanatoriums. They'd use a lot of them too.
They were exposed by close association or close contact to polio patients and their throats and nasal passages were frequently swabbed with matter from the sick patients that was supposed to contain viruses. No polio was produced in this way, and about the only noticeable effect was that the subjects of the experiments lost their sense of taste and smell due to the damaging effect of the poisons in the serum that was used on the test swabs. And we're going to examine one of these failed polio studies together later in this film so you can see for yourself. Johns Hopkins magazine tells us into the 1950s, and in some cases longer, physicians had experimented on prisoners, orphans, soldiers, and even newborn.
Number one reason why I wouldn't ever enlist, like when I was younger, I tried doing it and I didn't know better then. I just wanted to get away from everything. Actually, it's probably had to get a lot of guys and a lot of girls. They give you the vaccine program, and like it's crazy. Like, doesn't matter. Their excuse is, oh, you're leaving the country. There's diseases out there, and they tell you it works, but like they didn't do that before. Like, what? You get sick, you get sick. Like, it's gonna happen. You're exposed to something. We're clearly learning it now. So they get you that crazy shot. It's supposed to inoculate you from like hundreds of things and shit.
Born infants without the full consent of the subjects, or by deceiving the subjects about the purpose of intervention.
I think, honestly, they use that vaccine program to damage the military. So when they leave or delist and they become civilians again, they're not the thriving young scallion they were when they first enlisted and got in shape.
Deceiving the public about viruses.
It doesn't happen right away either. It's one of those things where they get the best years out of you, and then later in life you suffer and you fall apart.
And vaccines is where
there's actually a big overlay. I'll have to find it. I won't add it to this. I've done enough weird looking around. Your hair falls out. There's a bunch of weird shit from vaccine programs and stuff, like hair, skin disorders, dietary problems, mood stability. There's a bunch of weird overlays since the vaccine program got pushed and rolled out.
They morally draw the line.
A lot of heart disease.
But think about it. If some government food agency or sandwich shop kept assuring you that this was chicken noodle soup, but kept serving you this sandwich instead, at what point would you start to question the legitimacy of that claim? In order to understand the logical fallacies in the thinking of big pharma-sponsored virologists and see...
It's always pictures and people holding test tubes and shit and petri dishes.
See the obvious flaws in the petri dish experiments they use as...
The reason, like, why soup even helps you throughout this whole process, too, everything about it, let's talk about this, more a little topic, but soup helps you because it's full of electrolytes, proteins, and they're already... with the moloch effect, so the fats are already rendered, so they're easier for consumption. And your body fully absorbs everything because it doesn't have to do much eating, like actual digestion, which is another thing you're alleviating, because that's why your body goes into a fasting mode. Everyone knows how you can't really eat when you're sick a lot. Your body's going into an autoimmune response, and it's shutting your nervous system and everything down, so you can focus on fasting, because your body's going to try to like a picture, like if you pull the ingrown hair out, but you have to pull the other hairs out around it or something, and the other hair has to break through the skin. In order for that one to break through the skin, you need the other ones to alleviate the stress on it. So like your gut works the same way, where it's a system. You're constantly always filling it. It's always going to be constantly working. You need to break. You're supposed to, I fast at least 3 days a week. I encourage people to get to that, but start off with a 16, 12-hour fast, work your way up to 24, and then don't 3 days in a row. I even know that it's pretty Herculean. Sometimes there's people who do the 40-day ones, that's hardcore. You need monitoring for that one sometimes. You can do dry fast too. I've never done more than a fucking 24-hour dry fast. That gets pretty weird because I don't like cottonmouth. I hate cottonmouth, and you start getting cottonmouth. That's part of like ketones being released, and that's another thing that helps you not get sick. Is ketones being released because it like livens up all your immune system and the other bullshit in between.
Proof that their unproven germ theory is possibly correct, we need to go back in time again and ask, what is polio and what caused the Spanish flu, if not germs?
fucking...
Dr. Eleanor McBean was actually there, as were her 2 doctor parents and colleagues who were healing the victims. According to them, ironically, the Spanish flu pandemic was caused by multiple toxic vaccines kept alive.
See what I'm getting at? It's been a while since I watched this, but even I'm just talking about because I've learned so much since here too. They cause more damage than anything. You're shoving, especially the old school ones. The new ones are even worse. They're full of way more weird shit. But like this is the way they made it was rudiment. Like they're taking like cow eggs and shit and like splicing them with like heavy metals and shit, and then like hitting them with like pyrolysis and weird shit like that, and fucking throwing it through. And then like whatever comes at the end, like, yep, this works. I don't even know how they get it passed to give it to people.
With the addition of more poisonous drugs administered by the doctors who tried to suppress the symptoms.
Anyone I know who gets sick nowadays usually get it whenever they get their vaccine shots. Like there's a girl, this Etch-a-Sketch chick, it's on Facebook. You might have seen her. She's like obsessed with the Mexican. She made a status and comment on it, and then she ended up answering me. I was laughing about it because she posted about getting her vaccines and she almost fainted. I go, and if you're fainting from getting a vaccine, that's a bad sign, homie. That's like dope heads don't even pass out on the ground almost after doing their heroin. Like, what?
It's caused by the vaccines themselves. We know that the Rockefeller Institute for Medical Research carried out a large-scale bacterial meningitis vaccination campaign in the U.S. Army in 1917 and 1918, supervised by Frederick Lamont Gates, under supervision of his father, Frederick Taylor Gates. We can see one of the published studies carried out on soldiers in Fort Riley, Kansas, in late 1917, the start of the Spanish flu pandemic, where soldiers were being given 3 increasing dosage amounts of bacterial meningitis vaccines in 4 to 10-day intervals. Even if you are ignorantly pro-vax, would you go out and take 3 increasing doses of polio, flu shots, or COVID-19 vaccinations in...
You notice there's nothing new under the sun. Bible wins again. Like, they repeat the same things over and over and over and over and over and over again. Like, repeat. I mean, like, they do this every couple of decades. Like, every few decades they do this. And there's a couple of ones they do like this. It always coincides with war. It's just like, here's a good example. Look up Antifa 1942 or 1938. There's a couple of photos you can find. Antifa's not even like a thing. Like, nothing is new. Everything has been redone. Them telling us it's cold, then it's hot, then it's cold, then it's hot. They've been also doing that for a long time.
2 weeks. They called it the Spanish flu.
The wooden square they used to the little box they used to stand on in the center of the town now is the internet, and they can disinformation everybody. Hardcore.
Yet Spain remained neutral in World War I.
That's the other thing they have. They've been doing that since like the advent when Hollywood became a thing. They started using those.
And German submarines patrolled their coast, so the U.S. didn't even have soldiers and bases in Spain. It also took 6 to 8 days just to sail troops home from France to the U.S. Never mind the extra time to get home.
I found all this shit. When I got done with that whole, like, after lockdown went on for like 6 months, I went right back to where I was when I was way younger, because I was drinking the Kool-Aid for the longest time. And then all of a sudden, like, I got sick. Everything was not making sense. Well, now it makes sense because I was being lied to. We were all being lied to it. And then that's just, you can learn, you can teach yourself. They tell you not to because fucking they don't want you being enlightened. Like, they want you a dumb little fucking cow that's gay inside of a fucking pod, fucking jerking off to whatever porn, eating whatever goy slop fast food that has no nutritional value. They want you in a dark room too while we're at it. No vitamin D for you. They want you completely fucking docile and like a bitch. Fucking just a fat little Wally character.
Home to the other states and bases.
Perpetually
Yet,
sick too.
the first reported Spanish flu cases...
That's the real fucking disease right there, is getting people to think they're constantly sick. Mentally, fucking physically, because that is a spell of itself on its own. When you tell yourself every day you're sick or there's something wrong with you, you'll never heal. You'll never heal. Like, just like if you want to lose weight, you'll never lose weight if you keep telling yourself you're fat or you're ugly and you won't do better. There's motivating yourself through like, but then there's like subconsciously, do you really feel like that? Like, do you actually hate yourself enough and you can't look at it? That's a disease. Everything like this, when you constantly make up things and you don't realize you're making them up, that's the thing too. Crazy don't realize they're crazy, or brainwashed don't realize they're brainwashed until after the mask comes off.
All broke out in the exact same time,
like,
not in Europe, but all around the United States, shown here in green and yellow, even in Southern California, and of course...
Don't look for the light switch, not for the person carrying the light.
Of course, Fort Riley, Kansas. When you lay the map of important U.S. military bases where mass vaccinations were taking place over the outbreak map, they match exactly. Dr. McBean's research into military vaccination records uncovered that they were not only giving these soldiers bacterial meningitis vaccines. That was only one of the 14 to 25 different shots given to the soldiers.
By volume, I'm going to say we're going to do some math and estimating. We're going to say they're all 5'10", because that's a reasonable height in between 6, because we're not going to go 6 feet. I love how the BMI and everything's based on 6 foot tall people, as if that's normal. We're going to go 5'10". That's a little bit taller than me, but it's like average between all that. We're about that. The shots I'm going to say are about 30 mils, or what's that thing? I think it's like fucking 10 cc's, some shit. It's like that much. Each one of those shots, 14 of them, by volume, you probably already, you put like 1% of your body volume in there. So like, do they do them all at once is my question, or even if it's over a course of a week? You got to have inflammation all over the body because you're swelling it up. You're not taking out the fluid, or you're putting more in, and there's only a certain amount you can put inside.
As we ourselves have just seen after a COVID-19 vaccine safety data document that they had hoped to remain sealed for 75 years.
That's another thing we all need to fucking make a petition on too. Fucking when they do disclosures and shit, or anything they put behind a wall like this, why don't we sue them? They be doing this with COVID too. Like, this is what they're actually talking about, a 75-year thing. Like, that's ridiculous. Why? Like, why do we allow that? Oh, they're the military. We have choice. We are the people. They should have to tell us the moment they know. Just like the weapons we're supposed to have is the same ones they have, but they lie to us and tell us, oh, we can't own any of that. We'll hurt ourselves. It's fuck you, dude. Or they'll say, think of the kids or something stupid.
Was published, showing on page 30 a 9-page list of over 1,300 diseases already caused by just one COVID-19 vaccine worldwide. And that's just from one manufacturer. So what?
And this came out during COVID when they're still saying they're figuring things out. I think this came out well before Fauci even was like put on the chopping block. So
kind of diseases were these soldiers getting from a combination of 14 to 25 different vaccines at once? Many of the soldiers were insane from post-vaccinal encephalitis, but the doctors,
because of what they're making them out of, like I was saying, like it's alchemy. Not even like good alchemy. It's like black magic. They're a bunch of the liver of a goat, the ova of a fucking cow, the blood of a non-sick person. It sounds great, dude. It's all nuts.
Called it shell shock, even though many of the soldiers had never left American soil.
Whoa. PTSD is one thing, but it's the same thing. They keep telling us they changed the name of shell shock syndrome. But like, you ever see what shell shock syndrome looked like? Those guys are like, looked like they were going through some crazy shit. Like, so yeah, like syphilis, necrosis to your brain. Omerate disease brought on by the 14 to 25 poisonous vaccines baffled the doctors, as they had never had a vaccination spree before, which used so many different vaccines. The vaccines brought on high fever, extreme weakness, abdominal rash, and intestinal disturbances, characteristic of typhoid. The diphtheria vaccine caused lung congestion, chills and fever, swollen sore throat, clogged with the false membrane, and the choking suffocation because of difficulty in breathing, followed by gasping and death.
after which the body turned black from stagnant blood that had been deprived of oxygen.
What's that sound like? It sounds like the weird things that people were pulling out of themselves, the morticians were pulling out of people after they were dead in COVID.
In the suffocation stages. In the early days, they called it Black Death. Does this look like any flu symptoms you've ever experienced or seen in your life? The other vaccines cause their own reactions, paralysis or polio, brain damage, lockjaw.
Like heavy metal toxicity, if anything. Like heavy metal, like cadmium and all that shit.
And more. When doctors had tried to suppress the symptoms of vaccine-induced typhoid with a stronger vaccine, it caused a worse form of typhoid, which they named paratyphoid. But when they concocted an even stronger and more dangerous vaccine to suppress that one, they created an even worse disease, which they didn't even have a name for. They didn't want to tell people what it really was. Their own Frankenstein monster, which they themselves...
So they know since the dawn of all of it, they've been putting
had created with their vaccines and suppressive medicines. They wanted to shift the blame away from their vaccines, so they called it the Spanish influenza, which explains the soldiers. But what about the regular civilian people? Did this maskless body collector know the truth? That the First World War was of a short duration, so the vaccine makers were unable...
It's one way to take out the healthiest of the healthy and the most fit and the most attentive people.
Able to use up all of their vaccines on the soldiers, so they decided to sell it to the rest of the population. They drummed up the largest vaccination campaign in U.S. history. Their propaganda claimed the soldiers were coming home from countries with all kinds of contagious diseases, and that everyone must have all of the shots on the market. The people believed them. First of all, they wanted to believe their doctors, just like today. And second, the returning soldiers certainly had been sick from their vaccines. So no, a virus or bacteria did not cause the Spanish flu, and vaccines did not eradicate it. Vaccines caused it. And once they were sold out of vaccines, the pandemic instantly stopped. But what is more interesting about Dr. McBean and her doctor parents living through the Spanish flu pandemic is that their testimony, too, debunks the contagion myth. She tells us that the flu hit only the vaccinated. Those who had refused the shots escaped the flu. Her family had refused all the vaccinations, so they all remained well all the time. Hers seemed to be the only family which didn't get the flu, so her doctor parents...
I haven't gotten a vaccine. My last time I got it was a tetanus shot, because I still thought at the time, this is going back... Actually thinking about it. Okay, yeah. So 2014 and 2012, almost like 14 years ago. I never get sick really since the whole coma thing. That was the last time I ever got really sick. Any other time I've ever gotten sick, it's either because of DTing of alcohol or something. That's about it. Which people who drink excessively don't realize that when they stop drinking, especially when they hear a pandemic's happening, they're going to get flu-like symptoms. A lot of people are experiencing that, and then with the hysteria.
Went from house to house doing what they could to look after the sick, as it was impossible to get a doctor then. Just like the...
let's just have a quick conversation. I do this every time I mention tetanus. You do not need to get a tetanus shot. Tetanus only happens from, like, dirty-ass cuts. So, like, if I slice my hand open in outside on the ground, and I don't clean it, I still probably won't get tetanus. But if I cut my hand like on the dumpster or something, I should clean it the fuck out. You should always clean your cuts out. But as I'm saying, there's no rust involved, if you noticed. Because rust, oxidized iron, doesn't cause that. Doesn't even make it dirty like that. It's because more than likely that the rusted piece of metal you cut yourself on is in a dirty place. But they've told us that it was the rust that causes it. Wrong. Completely fucking wrong. It's like them saying blood is blue. It's not blue. Your veins might be blue because they're oxygenating the blood, but the blood is always red.
failed contagion experiments we've already discussed. If it were possible for germs, bacteria, virus, or bacilli to cause disease, they had plenty of opportunity to attack her parents when they were spending many hours every day in the sick rooms. But they didn't get the flu, and they didn't bring any germs home to attack the children and cause anything. None of her family had the flu, not even a sniffle, and it was...
That's another way they're even easier to tell a lie. Only males died. The ones that took care of the family. It's probably another reason why the orphan trains happened. Hold up. When did the orphan trains happen? When did the orphan trains happen?
The orphan train movement occurred in the United States, spanning from 1854 to 1929. These trains, primarily organized by the Children's Aid Society and the New York Foundling...
Yo, I always be wondering why that, because the Tartarian shit, that the mud flood, all that could have too. Like, did they mass die off everybody with the shots and tell them it was disease, and took their kids and threw them in random empty cities that they knew existed because they... what?
In the winter with deep snow on the ground. Only the vaccinated died. Then we have the strange case of the two Russian conjoined twins, Masha and Dasha, who each had their own lungs and organs, but because their circulatory systems were interconnected, they shared the same blood. Dasha was always prone to colds, but not Masha. And as children, one would become ill with a childhood disease like...
Because one probably got more of his immune system from the bones than the other one did it. He was more treated, his body treated them more like he was the vestigial twin hanging off, so they didn't give him all the nutrients. They only gave him just enough probably to not die, so live in a perpetual sickness all the time.
Like measles, while the other would not. If the measles was a bug, it would have been in both of their bodies and...
But if he has a lowered immune system, any kind of toxicity would have made him sick. So, like I said, he got more sick for the brother. I guarantee you, actually, when the other one got sick, the other one got stronger.
Their collective bloodstream. So why didn't they both get the measles? This phenomenon was seen over and over again with the girls. Flus, colds, and other childhood diseases were all experienced separately, never together. Which would explain why neither Dr. Sellards of Johns Hopkins nor Dr. Hess of New York were able to transmit measles or chickenpox in all of their experiments, because germ theory is nonsense pseudoscience. We'll get into what those really are later. But first, in order to address virology misconceptions and fraud, we need to address polio. After all...
Hold on, I'm going to pause it right here. Let me go back. Hold up.
Didn't
Boop, boop. Start. Okay, so I'm back. I just want to break this up into segments so I'm going to post it in clips and shit, but like... So, we're going to go into the polio
chickenpox in all of their experiments, because germ theory is nonsense pseudoscience. We'll get into what those really are later, but first...
I've convinced my family members and a lot of my friends into a lot of this stuff, and I got them to read a lot and understand what's going on, so they actually know for themselves. But, like, there's other people that you can't even talk to them about this because it just destroys them with cognitive dissonance.
In order to address virology misconceptions and fraud, we need to address polio. After all, didn't Dr. Salk's 1955 polio vaccine eradicate polio like we are all told? Well, only...
I apologize for the quality of this video. It's been re-uploaded a billion times, and by the time I got to it, you know what I mean?
If Dr. Salk also invented a time machine to go back 7 years to December 1948 and give out his vaccines, when polio cases were almost non-existent already. The exact same year when
And that's when they started saying, oh, the decrease is the increase, and that's because of the fucking vaccines. You just go...
Farmers stopped spraying food crops with lead arsenate pesticides when DDT became widely available. Unfortunately, it was short-lived. As it turned out, DDT was an even more dangerous neurotoxin than lead arsenate. And right after the mass crop spraying of DDT in early 1949, a new spike of polio cases suddenly arose that was
So, Spanish flu caused by vaccine program. Polio, DDT.
80% higher than the lead arsenate was causing. It didn't help that they were also spraying this neurotoxin on the street.
There's like they're at a picnic in one of them, and they're just like eating dinner, and they just let them spray it everywhere.
In the water supply, in their gardens, and even on people and children. The word poliomyelitis was coined from the Greek words polios, meaning gray, and myelos, meaning marrow, plus itis, which means inflammation. Thus, the word means inflammation of the gray matter of the spinal cord, the brain.
Itis is also, you can use that for food, like your swollen belly.
Or wherever in the body gray matter is found. Every cell in the human body contains a small amount of gray matter.
They treat it like it's like fucking Zyklon B. It's like delousing powder, but it's not.
Inflammation is the result.
All because of like tobacco crop or some shit. That's what it was.
Of poisoning. This poisoning damage, decay, and disintegration of cell structure can result in paralysis and, in around 5 to 10% of cases, even death.
Yeah, because everything stops moving.
As Dr. McBean points out, isolated germs have never been known or proven to attack and cause decay and disease in any part of the body. And so polio was never eradicated by Salk's vaccine because vaccines do not eradicate nervous system poisoning. Polio is not a virus. That is an unproven theory. It is a toxic inflammation disease that was simply rebranded or renamed into several other medical terms like Guillain-Barré syndrome, transverse myelitis, multiple sclerosis.
You gotta fucking turn it into jargon and Latin all the time, man. That's what you gotta do. It's the magic trick. Hide it behind some words that change it. Instead of baby murder, we call it abortion.
And a few others that have the exact same poisoning symptoms of gray matter that polio did, so they can give credit to the vaccine for eradicating the disease and now blame a new disease for the damage their same vaccines are causing. There they are, in Pfizer's 9-page list of 1,300 diseases their COVID-19 vaccine has caused worldwide. Guillain-Barré syndrome, multiple sclerosis relapse, multiple sclerosis relapse prophylaxis, myelitis, and myelitis transverse, or transverse myelitis, or polio.
Oh,
we see this over and over again, and myelitis transverse, or transverse myelitis, or
nasal herpes. Nasal herpes. You can get nasal herpes from COVID shots. What the fuck? I told you can get herpes from it.
This over and over again. When sanitation and hygiene improvements, the stopping of certain vaccines and toxic medicines, or the removal of environmental toxins already has a disease on a downward trend toward eradication. And then they come out with a vaccine near the end of the trend and claim it eradicated that disease. As seen here in the US and UK when the polio vaccines came out in the late 1950s. And the same here with measles, scarlet fever, typhoid, whooping cough, and diphtheria. All of them were declining and well on their way to rarity, and then the vaccines came out and took credit for it, like the diphtheria.
Wow, that's actually weird. Diphtheria is so common nowadays.
A vaccine in 1920, which may have even been the cause for a 2-year spike in diphtheria. Whooping cough was nearly gone when its vaccine came out in the late 1940s, and the 1963 measles vaccine is a joke, as it was less than 1 death per 100,000 people who expressed it since 1947. Dr. McBean's book, The Poison Needle, covered in detail the other causes of polio besides vaccination and pesticides, and you can pause and look at this overview if you like, because we need to move on now.
Hold up. Let me read that. Oh my God, you should read this. This is like American lifestyle. Negative emotions, I mentioned that one. All of these are in it. Are everywhere nowadays.
And look at virology and virologists and ask what it is they are doing to claim contagious viruses exist and cause disease when zero real physical
Can you picture getting fucking polio from eating like carbohydrate? What? Negative emotions that generate internal poison. I already said that before. The power of the opposite of a placebo effect can ruin you. Not even just, like I said, working out, trying to get thin while you're not positive about being thin, you'll have cortisol released, which that just does awful for your hormones and everything else, and it makes you hold it in the worst spots.
Experiments in the world have ever been able to prove so. First,
when soda originally used to have fucking drugs and awesome things in it, at least, like, well, they had real drugs, like actual chemicals, instead of like a natural, like, I don't know, like a root beer soda made of sassafras.
We need to ask, what is the cytopathic effect theory of virus particles? What is viral replication theory? Where do these unproven theories even come from? And what is a virus particle? This large area on the bottom left is the corner of a dying, rotting, and decaying green monkey kidney tissue cell in a virus.
Hold up. Before I get into this, I'm going to back it up. Start it again. Hi, I'm back. Here's the next part. I wanted to get into this. This is where I wanted to show you guys that the cells and how they get the coronaviruses is honestly a farce, because it's not. You just basically irradiated a fucking cell into like basically causing a cancer effect where it does force a mutation. Like, so you're not even looking at what you started with. It's just been bombarded with like chemical exposure and a bunch of other bullshit.
Virologists and ask what it is they are doing to claim contagious viruses exist and cause disease when zero real physical experiments in the world have ever been able to prove so. First, we need to ask, what is the cytopathic effect theory of virus particles? What is viral replication theory? Where do these unproven theories even come from? And what is a virus particle? This large area on the bottom left is the corner of a dying, rotting, and decaying green monkey kidney tissue cell in a virologist's petri dish that has been starved of nutrients, poisoned, broken down, and decayed further with antibiotics like gentamicin.
They just chemically caused cancer. Like, they literally did everything and anything. Phenol. That's a poison.
Amphotericin, phenol red acid dye, and kidney-dissolving trypsin enzymes for many days. Then poisoned further with fixative neurotoxic preservatives like formalin, formaldehyde, glutaraldehyde, and then dehydrated in alcohol baths of ethanol and acid.
If you were to do this to any living thing ever, what would you get in the end? Like I said, an amorphous blob of like what used to be like considered like a living matter.
Acetone to drain water from the tissue sample, then put into a mold filled with epoxy resin, glue, and wax, then frozen to harden it, then sliced into micro-thin pieces, then stained with heavy metals made of lead and uranium acetate, and then bombarded with 150 to 300 degrees Celsius heat beams under an electron microscope to show us.
Just so you know, what's the sterilization temp? What temperature what temperature sanitizes?
For sanitizing with heat, water needs to be at least 171 degrees Fahrenheit.
I knew it was above $1.50. I only knew that because of working in the kitchen and shit. Because like when you clean stuff, you need to know how hot the water and shit have to be for doing certain stuff.
This picture of a still.
So whatever was in there is cooked to death. If it sterilizes bacteria, they killed it all. Everything's dead inside that. So whatever you're looking at right now, it might as well just went through a microwave.
Non-moving piece of cellular debris, which virologists label a virus particle. If you wanted to study and understand living human biology, would you study living active human beings, or would you dig up and dissect the corpse of a 3,000-year-old decayed mummy and just take a wild guess? To get an idea of just how small this chemically manufactured particle is, the smallest measurement on a ruler is 1 millimeter, and these particles are between 50 to 150 nanometers, or 0.
And I love bringing this up. And like I said before, one of the clips was, we have electron microscopes that can supposedly see the molecules, which are like frequency cymatics, looks cool, but like, we still can't see these fuckers?
0.0000.
I've seen videos of them zooming in on chips and shit, and the chips are smaller than these. They're
5 to 0.00015 of 1 millimeter. So what is this particle? It is a theoretical guess based on these kinds of electron microscope pictures that have been put through all of the ludicrous chemical procedures we have just described, and these pictures only. When we see pictures like this, these are just artist drawings and computer-generated pictures of what virologists...
This is what they do for space. Oh, I took the inputs of the thing, and then I used the coloring of what the electro... oh my god, electrospirometer, I think it's called. The thing that fucking reads it with the fucking radio frequency and shit. Microwaves. Electrospectrometer, I think it's called.
Think that black and white two-dimensional image might really look like. Nobody has ever seen one. It's imagination only. The theory is that it is this: a bunch of genetic RNA and DNA material containing instructions for making new copies of itself inside a host cell, with a viral envelope made from fatty lipid molecules.
Mind you, it's not supposed to be alive. So basically this thing floats around like living dander, but it's not living.
Taken from cells in the host with surface spike proteins that help the virus recognize and bind to cells in the host organism. You can see that too, right? It is not alive. It has no nucleus, no digestive system, no excretory system, no respiratory system, no circulatory system, no endocrine system, just genetic material wrapped in a ball of fat and protein. The cytopathic effect theory states that somehow this dead ball of genes, fat, and protein can find its way inside a person's cells and by some form of rainbow magic cause an enzymatic change in the structure of the host cell, even though
I like how they put all the triangles in front of our faces.
It has no enzymes to do so, which causes lysis, or the breakdown of the outer membrane of the cell, which blows the cell membrane open.
Well, you should be eating a nice amount of lycerin, like from your food. You wouldn't have these problems.
Killing the cell or rendering it unable to produce. The viral replication theory.
Once you get over the fear of being sick and you only have to worry about maybe exposure to certain things and chemicals and gases and stuff, life becomes a lot easier. It's not stress-free with a lot of stuff.
States that people sneeze, breathe, or cough these dead, lifeless balls of genes, fat, and protein through the air, and they somehow make their way into other people's cells. First, by attaching to cells via their spike proteins, and then using more unexplained rainbow magic to somehow penetrate the cell membrane, where they use more rainbow magic to somehow get the cell to make copies of them and explode them out of the cell.
So why don't they ever show a bunch of them at once?
Go do the same to other cells and other people.
Be that hard to find one.
This piece of candy is not alive. It has no nucleus, no digestive system, no excretory system, no respiratory system, no circulatory system, and no endocrine system. It's just genetic peanut and cocoa plant material wrapped in a ball of fat, sugar, and protein, just like a virus.
It is.
If someone told you this dead piece of candy could somehow make its own way into your garbage bag, use rainbow magic to multiply into a dozen more pieces of candy, and explode out of your garbage bag back onto your counter, you would probably call them insane.
Yeah.
And if they tried to...
Once you start looking at anything that has a theory, like the theory of gravity and stuff like that, when they put the word theory at the end of it, it's because it hasn't been proven. It's like quantum physics or something too. That's an easier way, because people like that a lot. Or black holes. It's all theories, quantum theory, because there's no actual proof, and they can't. It's just all theoretical. Trust me, bro. That's why it's trust me, bro shit. And they usually use the telltale sign of trust me, bro science is them leading you with jargon. Like if you start like on a basic thing and you ask them a simple question for, and they instead of giving you like an answer, they'll give you a whole bunch of big words that you have to figure out, because they'll hope you just go, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Sell you a poisonous spray you could put on your countertop that they claim stop this candy from multiplying and covering your kitchen counter. You would most likely suspect a snake oil sales.
That's what they do, though. They make up the problem to sell you the fix. It's like I said, there's no new magic tricks. They just keep doing the same ones over and over again, hoping we're just retarded.
The first glaring problem with viral replication theory is that if it were true that these alleged particles go into the lungs, multiply, and explode out all over the...
There's a certain thing to that I can understand, because chlorine, but like... They're not. They're just straight up drinking shots of bleach.
Place, then it would be very easy to take a sick person's lung fluid, snot, sputum, prepare an electron microscope slide, and these particles should be found in there.
Yep.
After all, the lungs are a living, breathing tissue culture, or a living virologist petri dish, if you want to think of it that way. But the shocking truth is, these alleged virus particles have never been found in the fluids of human beings, sick or healthy. Virologists are taught in school that it can't be done. The particles are too small, and that's just not the way they do it.
There's not one published paper in the scientific literature finding this thing in any biological fluid of any sick human or animal.
You know what prevents getting sick? And he pointed out too. Is it him? I think he supports the idea. He's one of the people. I think I'm thinking of the other guy too, Berg or whatever it is. Smoking cigarettes or nicotine. Period. He even tells you like, don't really smoke it. Go for the patches more. But like, we have nicotine receptors, and they actually help us fucking a lot with our immune system, cancer, everything.
Anywhere. And everybody agrees. All the virus.
That's why they had a whole ad campaign. They lied about saying cancer, cigarettes cause cancer, and why they're trying to outlaw it everywhere. And they don't want you doing it because it's healthy for you. It's one of those big lies they tell us.
Virologists agree. They say that's not how you find a virus. We have 150 like institutions, the NIH and the CDC, etc. We asked them, can you show us a paper finding this particle in any fluid of any sick person? And they say we don't have such a paper.
Claim they don't have an isolate, but I mean,
they claim they cannot find the virus in any fluid. Now, even though they say there's a reason for that, because that's not how they do it. Now,
see, all those papers, like I was just trying to find that fungus one on one of the clips. They're putting it behind paywalls now, so you can't look it up. They don't want you to look at the PDFs, because my main thing during COVID, I had tons of them. Another weird thing is happening, though, if anyone's been happening, Windows 11, the last update, they're complaining about Notepad. For some reason, my indexing on my file folders don't work anymore correctly. So, like, if the file had anything that says Epstein in it, it won't show up. I have to physically go into my folder and go search for them.
Here's the first question. Since the viral theory is I breathe in this virus, it uses my lungs as a culture, right? And so then it grows, and then it's teeming with viruses.
That means all viruses would be respiratory. And that was the case, too. They're not. By their logic, too.
That gets spewed out in the world. Why can't you find it in your lungs? It's a culture.
Oh, your point is if you do a direct electron microscopy of the fluid, you won't see this.
Never.
Okay, yeah, I see.
Never. Not once. We asked a guy who was 20 years, senior virologist at Wuhan Institute of Virology, 20 years head of Yale Virology Laboratory. Can you find SARS-CoV-2 in any fluid of any person you say has COVID? He said no. Why not? Because there's not enough virus to find. Okay, we asked him, what about if you put 10 people with supposed COVID and you mix their bronchial fluid together? Is there enough? No. 100 people? No. 1,000 people? No, not enough to see. 10,000 people, you mix their fluid together. Would you then have enough virus to see? And he said no, and then he wouldn't answer anymore. So,
but he claims what we see on the EM, on the electron microscopy slides, are in fact virus particles. The little bleb
what
things.
What he says is you have to culture them. There is no virus to see in your lungs,
right,
or in your snot.
Enough that they
Not
would admit.
anywhere.
Yeah.
So then what is a virology culture, and how is it they can see this alleged virus particle after a culture, but not in a sick person's snot? The technique was invented by a man called John Enders in the 1950s. Virologists take a person's snot, mucus, sputum, and put it in a petri dish that has dying, rotting kidney tissue from green monkeys. Then they add bovine calf serum, like cow broth, sometimes milk.
There is so much nonsense they put in here. It is literally a magic spell.
And then they starve the fluid in that petri dish of nutrients so that the cells in the tissue start to break down and deteriorate. Then they help it along further by adding kidney-specific nephrotoxins, like the antibiotics gentamicin and amphotericin. And sometimes...
Why would you give it antibiotics? If you said they're just trying to kill it.
Kidney tissue-dissolving enzyme called trypsin. Then they wait, and these chemicals break down the cells into millions of tiny particles, and then they do all of the other things we discussed already to prepare it for electron microscopy, and they say, aha, there it is, the virus particle. We can see it now.
Wait till they tell you how they make it.
There are obviously many problems with this procedure. First of all, there are multiple sources of genetic material inside a human snot or lung sputum, including lung tissue itself, debris.
The bacteria that lives in your lungs, they call it their there's a word for it now, microbiome, that's a bullshit thing. That's just them trying to get you okay to live with the fucking parasites inside you.
From dead human cells being excreted through the lung excretory system, bacteria and microbes living in the lungs, food that went down the wrong pipe, inhaled plant pollen, RNA, and DNA from the air, inhaled bugs, and many more. Then the monkey kidney tissue itself has its own genetic material, as does the bovine calf serum, as does the milk, so there is no way to tell what genetic material came from what in the petri dish, or what you're even looking at under the electron microscope. It's just a giant soup mix of all sorts
I wouldn't even call it a soup mix. It's more like the scrap bin after, like, you ever seen those, like, the bellies for putting food scraps in to get, like, the methane from it, butane from it. How it congeals and becomes like a snot. That's what it sounds like.
Genetic material. So you can't even say where that particle came from. Is that particle from a virus?
Stupid.
Is it from the milk? Lung tissue? Monkey tissue? Bacteria? Plant pollen? Calf broth? Who knows? The second problem is electron microscopes take still pictures, not moving. Here is a man standing outside of his door with keys in his hand. Has he just come home and is going into his door? Or is he just leaving and just locked his door? You have no idea without the rest of the footage, to be sure. So did these particles go into that cell, multiply and explode out of it?
Why isn't there a bunch?
Or did the fact that the virologist just purposely put a bunch of chemicals in a petri dish that purposely destroy and break down the monkey kidney tissue, milk, bovine serum, human lung tissue, dead cell debris, bacteria, pollen, and other cells in that petri dish, and cause the cells to break down into millions of smaller garbage particles?
Honestly, what it looks like is a piece of pollen, and it's been like heated up a bunch and chemically burned. That's exactly what it looks like. It looks like
Particles as the cell died, and that's what those particles really are: dead cell debris. Cytopathic effect is just a theory, because no person in history has ever, and I mean ever, observed that particle going into a cell, multiplying, killing that cell, and blowing out into millions of copies of the exact same particle, because that particle is too small to be seen without a still electron microscope photograph, period. Those particles have never been purified and isolated to even check that they are all copies of the exact same thing. Ever. No virologist disputes this. In fact, we are all told about autolysis, the breakdown of all or part of a cell or tissue by self-produced enzymes from the dying cell, not viruses. Here is a single-cell organism, just like any of your cells, experiencing regular death. And as we see, it too naturally breaks down into millions of nanoparticles of dead cell debris as it dies and deteriorates. That's what dying cells do. This leads to another glaring problem with virus theory. We are told about apoptosis, the natural programmed death of our cells that leads to the cell's nuclear fragmentation, meaning breaking apart into tiny pieces. Also DNA fragmentation and mRNA decay, which would look something like this. Look familiar? We are told the average adult human loses between 50 and 70 billion cells out of its alleged 37 trillion each and every day. But are we sick every single day from the natural death of 70 billion cells? Of course not.
But because of fucking added toxins and shit, people starting to feel fatigue and other stupid shit. Like it's aging. That's what he's describing at the same time. Is aging getting sick? Well, now, because people have been on the vaccine programs, yes. But, like...
Then where is the proof that a theoretical virus particle allegedly killing a mere fraction of those naturally dying cells causes any illness? There is none. This is not science. This is nonsense. Why on earth would virologists be using chemicals and enzymes like amphotericin, genomycin, and trypsin that cause cytopathic effect breakdown of monkey kidney cells to prove that a virus particle killed the cell and not the chemicals they use that do the exact same thing? It makes zero sense. And why are they using green monkey kidney tissue? Before we can examine and easily understand the errors in laboratory virology studies and procedures, we need to discuss and understand virus isolation and purification. Why is that so vital? Because if you are going to claim that that particle is a unique thing called a virus and not just normal garbage from a deteriorating cell, you have to prove it and then stick it in somebody and make them...
I didn't know what trypsin was. It's spelled like trypsin. It's not toxic and stuff, typically in small quantities, but like so is most poison. But like if you inhale this stuff, it gives you asthma-like symptoms, and it doesn't irritate the skin. Wait, is generally safe, but can cause skin, eye, respiratory irritation, and potentially allergic reaction or asthma-like symptoms. So it's toxic. That's how you know they're lying when they can't just say, yes, it's toxic.
Stick with it. which has never, ever, ever been done in the history of the world, ever. Suppose 3 people ate a chicken soup and all got sick with stomach cramps, vomiting, and diarrhea. And we had a theory it might be from the chicken in the soup. In order to be certain, first we'd have to isolate the chicken chunks only from the rest of the soup by putting it through a strainer to get most of the other soup ingredients and fluid out. Then we'd have to separate the chicken chunks only. That's isolation. Pretty simple. Then we'd have to wash those chicken chunks off with distilled water to make sure they aren't still coated with other liquids and ingredients from the soup. That's purification. These are not.
Hermetic.
Then we'd simply feed those people this isolated and purified chicken and see if they got sick with the exact same symptoms: stomach cramps, vomiting, and diarrhea. If they did, we have a good suspicion that it is the chicken, but we're still not 100% certain yet. We'd still have to run a control experiment where we feed them the rest of the soup without the chicken and see if they still get sick with stomach cramps, vomiting, and diarrhea. If so, it might be something from the broth or something else in the soup that the chicken chunks soaked up while they were in the soup. Fairly simple. But we're still not done yet. If it was the chicken chunks and not the control soup, we'd then have to run a genetic sequencing on that chicken to make sure it actually is chicken and not some substitute made of tofu, soybeans, corn syrup, and chemicals to make it smell and taste like chicken. So we're absolutely certain in the future that it was...
There's no refined fibers in those things, any of that plant-based shit, and like you need refined fiber. Not refined, natural fiber. You need it, and all the old food we used to eat used to contain it. None of it does now. It's all sterile.
It's chicken that is the problem, and not some fake chemical substitute. Now let's say we want to prove that this particle labeled a virus actually is a unique thing called a virus and causes an illness. We'd simply take a sick person's snot or sputum, macerate it in a liquid solvent to break it apart a bit, pour that through a nanoparticle-sized mesh filter, just like a spaghetti strainer, to get rid of most of the larger debris bigger than the particle, so that we only have at least things of that particle size or smaller left in our sample. We put that filtered fluid in a density gradient centrifuge and spin it around until all of the materials in the test tube are in banded layers by weight and density. Just like your lighter socks and underwear stick to the washing machine wall, while the heavy jeans and shirts fall in the middle. Or just like these materials in this glass are separated by density. Then, we'd take a nanopipette and extract only that density band of material that only has these viral particles in them. And we have to genetically sequence them using either the Sanger method or the Maxim-Gilbert method to get the full genome, or see if that particle even has a full unique genome, to make certain we actually have some kind of unique virus particle and not just broken down partial fragments of normal everyday genetic material from the thousands of other things in the snot or sputum sample. In fact, this entire isolation and purification procedure would be even more important to do if you use the virologist's petri dish culture instead of just taking the snot sputum directly from a sick person, because now you'd have to separate, weed out, and eliminate all of the additional genetic material and whatever else they use to grow the culture. Then we simply inject or spray that isolated and purified virus particle material only into healthy people and see if those particles make them sick with the exact same symptoms as the sick person whose snot or sputum sample we used to get those particles from in the first place. That's isolation and purification. So simple a child could understand it. Now let's ask our virology experts.
What do we mean by virus isolation or virus purification? These are jargon words in virology, and
I'm gonna rewind it. Okay, I'm back. Here's the other part to this. Let's start it from here.
That's isolation and purification. So simple.
Purification. These are
it. Now let's ask our virology experts.
What do we mean by virus isolation or virus purification? These are jargon words in virology, and they're not very precise. They mean different things to different people.
Now, Dr. Gallo and Dr. Fauci talked a lot about isolation and purification. Can you tell me what the difference is between the two?
Isolation, what was it?
Isolation and purification.
When someone's going to lie to you, that's the first thing they do is have you repeat the question again.
Of the virus?
Whatever his last name is, like Hoffman or something?
Well, you isolate a virus by finding the virus which causes a disease. You purify a virus by making a lot of, just by purifying it so you get a pure virus.
Okay.
That doesn't even make sense.
I don't understand what the issue.
They interchanged the two, and I wasn't sure.
I see.
They have the fucking Caduceus in the background over there, big one.
If it was the same thing or if it was two totally different.
I don't know how they fucking managed
No, it depends on how they use it.
Okay. Can you explain the process of HIV isolation?
Well, didn't Dr. Gallo do that? He actually isolated it. So, yeah. Why should I do all of this? This is all textbook stuff you're asking me.
I'm not quite sure what's behind your question about isolation.
I don't want to be your textbook. I got other things to do.
I'm going to pause this real quick. Hold on, make sure you guys can see this. What's on the belly of Baphomet? Anywhere he's depicted. Him and his tits.
Now, in their defense, it would appear that virologists are taught in their school and training that these virus particles are too small to isolate and purify and run a full Sanger or Maxim Gilbert genetic sequence to prove that it is a unique thing and not just partial genetic material from regular cellular debris. And that may have possibly been true before the 1970s, but that has not been the case for a long time now. And yet nobody has ever isolated any virus and sequenced an actual genome, let alone make a person or animal sick with the same symptoms by injecting or spraying those particles only with no other poisons, rotting flesh, or contaminants, ever. These so-called Petri dish virus particles that they see under electron microscopes are usually around 50 to 140 nanometers in diameter. Yet, when we look at a bacteriophage, they are anywhere from 28 to 200 nanometers in total height. And yet the capsid, where their genetic material is contained, is only 28 nanometers in diameter, much, much smaller than an entire virus particle. And yet scientists have isolated, purified them, and sequenced a full genome for them. Then we have exosomes, which are packets of protein, messenger RNA, and microRNA that are believed to assemble inside of a cell and then leave the cell to communicate with other cells in the area, among other functions. And exosomes are only 30 to 200 nanometers in diameter, nearly the exact same size as so-called 50 to 140 nanometer virus particles, and as you can see, nearly indistinguishable from alleged virus particles under electron microscopy. And yet, Dr. Andrew Kaufman sent me a paper showing that exosomes too have been isolated from blood plasma, purified through density gradient centrifuge, and even genetically sequenced. Which brings us to the nanotechnology industry and IBM, who has recently unveiled the world's first 2 nanometer chip technology for semiconductors, able to not only manufacture 2 nanometer
This is what I was thinking of when I think of like how small they can get, and they can zoom in on that, is making chips. Like I was saying, microchips, computer stuff. It's like,
sheets, but also to attach them to nanochips. So let's put this in perspective. Are we really to believe that scientists can isolate, purify, and genetically sequence exosomes the same size as alleged virus particles, also isolate and genetically sequence the capsid of a bacteriophage that is literally the size of just 2 spike proteins on an alleged virus particle, and IBM can manufacture a 2 nanometer sheet 70 times smaller than an entire virus particle and attach it to a nanochip? But virologists can't find this giant particle in any person or animal's lungs or sputum. And even when they manufacture this particle in a petri dish, they can't then isolate, purify, and genetically sequence them? Really? It is painfully obvious that they are discouraged from doing so, because it will prove that these particles are not unique organisms called viruses, but just broken down fragments of dead cellular debris with identical partial genetic material from the broken down cells they come from. The pharmaceutical industry stands to lose tens of trillions of dollars in vaccine, cold and flu remedy profits, and over 20,000 prescription drugs.
Most of those drugs they give you for like being sick, like Benadryl and all that, they all just shut off hormones. Like aspirin shuts off hormones. Doesn't make your headache go away or actually reduce anything. No, it tells your brain, just don't release the hormones, bro. Let's see how that works out. There's a reason for the function to happen. It's your body taking you out. It's the putrefaction period before you become not sick.
To treat lifelong vaccine-caused allergies and illnesses. If the truth ever gets out to the public that viruses don't exist and the germ theory is a debunked fraud. What fraud? The purposeful creation of...
Yeah, there's 15 minutes left. I'll probably make a whole nother video on that. I'll leave it in the background. Actually, while I'm at it, hold up. Make sure it's exactly where I left it off. I'm going to go edit all that together and put it together for the show thing. They're going to start doing this again. So get familiar with all this stuff. So when they start spewing out jargon towards us and telling us people are dying, we can just go, fuck you.